Hello, this is Mark Palmer once again with another episode of Crisis of Infinite Podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about the movie review of Avengers Infinity War. And let me first introduce my guests, starting with this dongle deuce over here.
Oh, I thought you were pointing at Jersey.
Hey!
Hey, it's Anthony. I'm here. I'm here. Someone else talk now. I picked that guy.
Hello, my name is Jersey. Hello again. It is a pleasure to be on this third podcast. Yes.
You've had 3 shows with him?
No, I had a show with you. I think so.
No.
I think we had 3 podcasts.
Let's see. I've had a podcast with him with the Con Skull Island. Then we did the Gamma with your show. And so, yeah, this is his third.
Oh, okay.
His third. Since I'm speaking, Nathaniel, present.
Hey, this is Bri, back again. I'm not sure what number I'm on, but I think a few more and I get a free toaster.
Dude, don't get the toaster. It's like, it catches on fire. And
it's a 1950s model.
Yeah, and sometimes it goes and makes fat jokes at me, but I'm pretty sure Mark just put that in just because.
No, the toaster.
Fat jokes.
No, the toaster you want comes with the lamp, radio, electric blanket, and the vacuum.
Ah!
Oh, brave little toaster.
Yeah.
All right.
Then you gotta buy the accessories.
Okay. So, since this is a Marvel podcast, I want to know how exactly we all got into Marvel and who our favorite characters are. So I'll actually go first since this is my podcast. So I would say I first got into Marvel with, I'm pretty sure most of everybody got into Marvel this way, was the X-Men animated series.
Well, I wouldn't say X-Men animated series, but I think almost all of us got into Marvel with generally the 90s animated series that went on.
Yes,
Yes.
X-Men, Spider-Man, Hulk. I know there was an Iron Man one. There was the Silver Surfer one. There was Fantastic Four. There were a couple handfuls, but
there was a good amount.
yeah. So like I said, I got interested in that, but I had no idea that Spider-Man was connected to the X-Men universe until I saw an episode of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which I had on VHS. I had the episode which talked about Firestar's origin, and her and Iceman go to a reunion for the X-Men, and then Spider-Man was fighting the Juggernaut.
I believe that episode was actually a failed pilot. I believe that episode was supposed to launch a X-Men animated series at the time, but it just didn't go through.
That was during the 80s. It was called Pride of the X-Men. I think that was...
No. I mean back, because the animated series was during the 60s, I believe.
Oh, yeah, there was an animated series.
Yeah, there was a bunch of
Spider-Man
cartoons.
His Amazing Friends was back in the 60s. And
No, that was 80s, believe me. You're thinking of the old Spider-Man cartoon from the 60s with the Spider-Man theme.
Yeah.
The spider meme.
Yeah. I heard that show's actually terrible, but
terrible.
Yeah,
but the art is so bad, it's so memeable.
I know.
Yeah, so you can pause it at any time and make a joke.
So anyways, with Marvel, my interest became more
an obsession.
Yes, and it became more I was learning, I gained all this knowledge. So not only from the cartoons and the movies that came out 10, 20 years ago, I had no idea Blade was a Marvel character until I think from the Spider-Man cartoon I saw. And I'd say that what really got me into Marvel, what made me expand my knowledge was basically I had these books which contained information about the characters within their world. I had one for Spider-Man, I had one for the X-Men and Hulk and a few others, and my knowledge really became expanded when I played a game called Marvel Ultimate Alliance, because I learned so much about all these different characters. I went from learning to characters' worlds to learning to the universe of Marvel. My interest just became more and more basically intense and knowledgeable.
Is that the one that's it's like an RPG? You have you can control 3 folks and stuff. Like that?
Yeah, actually 4 people.
Yeah, you have 4 people and they all shoot lasers and whatnot.
Yeah, and I learned a bunch of all these different characters, who they were and where they came from. I learned so much about Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, and then I even watched the animated movies, some good, some bad, but I still got some knowledge. And then when I went to saw the MCU movies, I came in with a knowledge of these characters. So like I wasn't like your regular Joe Schmo, like, oh, who the hell is Iron Man? Like I knew who Iron Man was and like his background and everything. And then that's when I started to learn from the comics. And then like I said, the comics made me just open up my mind to like this big, great universe. And I would say that my favorite character has to be the Incredible Hulk. The reason why is because
big and stupid, just like you.
I was trying to get to like an emotional moment, but thanks for that anyway. So,
no.
He had to get it out.
Yeah.
all right. So with the Hulk, like I can relate to him with like his anger issues and everything. And I watched the old Lou Ferrigno TV show with my grandma, and some of those episodes were tearjerkers, man. I'm not afraid to admit that. And I remember doing a report for one of my classes, like about like something that like keeps you going, or like what inspires you, or what like is like a motivator or a stress management. And I said comic books were. So I read a book which talked about history of comics and how Marvel differentiates from DC. And with Marvel, like of course, like the characters have like different problems, and like it talked about the Thing from the Fantastic Four, and he said like if people see me as a monster, then I'll be one. That hit me where it hurt. But with the Hulk, this woman said, "Why are you so angry at the world?" And he said, "Why shouldn't I be? Look at what people have done to me." That made me fall on the floor and cry. Mm-hmm. And that's why I love the Hulk, because like I feel bad for him, because like I see myself in my shoes with this character.
Mark, I have a quick question. Like, what are your thoughts on like I know it's technically like that other Hulk movie, like the more recent Hulk movie.
Oh, the Edward Norton one?
Yeah. How'd you like that one?
I feel like it's a very underrated film.
Because I listened to this other show, and this like one guy loves the Hulk as well. He was like, "Oh man, like this movie didn't even have the Hulk that much in it, but I still liked it." But like he was like, he just writes that film off. He's like, "That movie doesn't exist." I was like, but I'm glad that you like it.
Are you talking about? Was he talking about the Ang Lee film?
No.
The Edward Norton one.
The
one that's part of the MCU, right? Mm-hmm. Well, with the Ang Lee one, there were some parts that got right, but other parts that sounded good on paper, but was bad in execution.
Yeah.
So I'd say I talked too much. So
Brian,
Just to remind you, this is the Infinity War podcast. At least I think it is.
Well, Mark just wants to give the viewers a base.
Give his brief history.
Yeah, so that way when I go and start making jokes and don't give a care about what's going on, you at least know where I'm coming from. But yeah, Brian, how about you go talk about why you went to Marvel?
Okay, I actually can't remember what got me into comics first. The 90s animated show, like most of us here, or I think I might have actually gotten an actual comic first, because I know my very first comic was one from like, I want to say like the 60s. It was a crossover between Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four. And, you know, it was back before really continuity and overarching and all that was a thing. So it was a very old comic. And like Mark, I got most of my info later on from those big omnibus books, and I learned, you know, more about it, played games, and, you know, just general. My favorite has always been Spider-Man, because, you know, he connects to me the same reason I think a lot. He connected to a lot of people.
He's the most human.
He's the most human, but also, you know, I was bullied in school, and I couldn't really defend myself, so, you know, and he was very jokey, and I was like that, so, you know, I related a lot to him. There were other characters I ended up relating to as well. I ended up liking Cyclops. I like Gambit because he's very witty. I like characters that are witty and jokey, but aren't full-on comedy characters like Deadpool. Like, I can appreciate Deadpool, but...
yeah, no one can really relate to Deadpool.
Yeah.
And if you can, you have a problem.
Or like more than 3.
Well, unless you have some type of like terminal cancer like Deadpool, or some type of sickness or physical whatever, I guess you can relate to that.
Well, yeah, I guess. Well,
or unless you're a funny person, maybe you can relate to his humor.
Yeah.
Right. How about you, Jersey?
Well, yes, like probably most of you guys, I started into the Marvel Universe by watching Spider-Man on Fox Kids.
Oh, yeah, the 90s cartoon.
Yeah, it was really okay, basic dance standards.
The show where the hoods had freaking laser guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
And Spider-Man was not allowed to punch.
Yep.
Yeah.
But actually, the hero that I feel I can relate to is Captain America.
Really?
Yes.
How
really.
so?
Huh.
Well, like me as an actor trying to get myself on the ground, I felt the same way Steve Rogers did when he was trying to enlist into the army for patriotism. But he had quite a huge disadvantage.
Yeah.
It wasn't until when someone gave him a chance that he became the lovable hero he is today.
So you're saying to make you a good actor, we just have to inject
You
you with a
with
magical serum?
Well,
Yeah, I guess that's the message is, kids. If you want to get good at something, inject yourself with
No, I got
serums
it.
and-
Like every actor, in order for Jersey to be good, he needs to be hopped out of his mind on drugs.
No, he needs to play Human Torch first, and then succeed
yeah.
into becoming either a hero or a villain.
well, I'll just have you know that I have gotten a lead role in a play here in Whittier called Funny Money, which starts at June 1st and ends in June 10th.
Shameless promotion.
The show.
Yeah, how much you get paid for that plug?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm gonna
so-
make sure the podcast comes out after that show's over, so nobody can go see it.
Oh, come on. But yeah, what I'm saying about Captain America is you saw bits of Infinity War and these heroes have greater powers, can decimate, but despite
Cap's
his
the underdog,
limits,
basically.
despite his limits, he still goes in there, shields up, fighting left and right, and that's something I can admire. It's just much like me. So, yeah.
So, I got into Marvel and I was watching Static Shock, and there was the episode where Spider-Man showed up, and they went to Africa, and he was hanging out on the bottom of Static Shock's little flying thing. It was really weird because Spider-Man in that show is black, but I guess everywhere else he's not black. I don't really understand it.
I know what you're
I mean.
I know what you're
no
talking about.
idea.
I've seen Static Shock.
I know
no
you
idea
do.
what the hell you're talking about. I've never seen Static
Hey,
Shock.
talk
I know the
about
episode he's talking about.
And then they go to
Spider-Man
Africa, and then Static Shock's
couldn't
all
mix.
man.
Isn't Static Shock a DC property?
Technically,
Yeah.
So
He's-
what the hell is
he's-
Spider-Man doing there?
He's the redheaded stepchild of DC that nobody likes to talk about.
No, just like everyone else, I didn't really understand. I thought, honestly, when I was watching Spider-Man as a kid, I honestly didn't really know that there was all these different heroes or whatever. So I was just Spider-Man's pretty cool. I never really got the whole DC thing.
Except Batman.
Except well, yeah, I guess Batman. I wasn't really that big into superheroes as a kid. I mostly just liked Ninja Turtles and whatnot. But I guess most of my Marvel exposure was through the X-Men cartoon and playing Marvel vs. Capcom and being oh sweet, I can just be this big old. I'll just go and select this Juggernaut guy, and he'll just run through everything as I spam projectiles as Mega Man. This is great. I like this
So
guy.
wait, you were using the Jersey method?
Yeah, this is the old one where instead of actually having a playable Juggernaut, all he does is just go walk
Yeah,
across
the first one.
Yeah, he just runs across the screen, and I'm yeah, just stay away while I just go and spam specials at you by smashing the controller as hard as I can with my
the
What's the
Jersey
Jersey
method.
method?
Yeah, it worked though. It
Yeah.
was kicking everyone's butt.
How about you, Nathaniel?
Well,
How'd you get to
oh.
Marvel? Oh,
Honestly?
Well, I didn't get to talk about my favorite
okay.
character.
oh yeah. Sorry,
Okay,
Anthony.
So my favorite character is Plastic Man. I really relate to Plastic Man because, he's a very silly, likable guy, but also he. No, actually, get back to me on my favorite Marvel. I have to think about that. Nothing you can go talk about whatever.
Honestly, I was a little bit like Anthony. I had no real attachment to anything related to Marvel. If the TV show was on, I'd watch it.
Yeah.
I'd get the action figures to just play around and toss aside. But my interest in Marvel didn't really grow on me until I saw the first Spider-Man film. And
Yeah,
that-
I'd say same here because I've been waiting forever for a Spider-Man film when I was a kid.
And when I saw it, I'm like, wow, I guess I should take a little closer look into some of these other superhero movies. And after seeing a couple of the other Spider-Man films, especially the third one when it was a disappointment,
It's all right.
I kind of...
Compared to Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah.
I never heard
Okay.
of what? Amazing what?
Spider-Man 2.
I never heard of that.
There wasn't a sequel to that. That was just a one movie.
I don't know.
You must be talking about Venom. Anyway, and my interest was piqued when I went to go see Iron Man. I knew the character existed. I had no prior knowledge to who the hell he was. So seeing Iron Man was a big eye-opener for me, like, holy shit. And at the end of the credits, I heard them talk about the Avengers Initiative, and I'm like, what the hell is the Avengers Initiative? And then I looked up online what the Avengers were, and I'm like, they can't be serious. This is a project that's way too ambitious.
Did you like go talk to Juan afterwards and be like, Juan, who's in the Avengers? And then Juan like breaks out that Marvel game Mark was talking about.
No, I kept that to myself.
Oh, that's actually I remember my friend Juan like played that game Mark, and he like absolutely was just enthralled by it too. And like I remember like we were walking home from school one day, and he was like, bro, I gotta tell you about this guy named Deadpool. And this was like before nobody really talked about Deadpool before.
Well, Deadpool was in the second X-Men Legends games.
But like he was just like, oh, he's so great. Like every time he's like I always remember he was just like, Weasel, did you eat my
cheesy puffs? Yeah. He's like, hey Weasel, I haven't seen you in a while. I was in the hospital. You stabbed me in the leg, remember? I had to. You were about to eat the last cheesy puff. But that was my last cheesy puff. That's not how I remember it.
Actually, the first time I heard about Deadpool was in X-Men's Origins Wolverine. I was like, so what's the big deal about him?
Oh, that was the worst.
Another thing I want to bring up, I just remembered, I also really liked the X-Men arcade game.
Oh yeah, Colossus.
No, I always played as Nightcrawler because he's like,
Yeah.
I was like, okay guys, I'll just get rid of everyone. Okay, let's move on.
X-Men, welcome to die.
Welcome to
Die chicken.
So anyway,
That's a good game.
I got into Marvel through the Spider-Man movie and followed all the way up to where I am today. And as far as favorite superhero goes, I mentioned it on the Turtle Cast. Once I get into something, I get in deep, and I can't really pick a favorite character.
Yeah, it's really hard. There's like 12 characters. It's like a lot of them.
Yeah, for every one character, there's always like 12 right behind them that you like.
Yeah, because I'm all like, should I say I like Beast? But like, I like Nightcrawler a whole lot. But also, like, Cannonball's pretty sweet.
And everybody loves Wolverine.
Yeah.
I think Wolverine.
I do have other favorite X-Men besides Wolverine, but I'm not going to get into detail.
That's what Wolverine and the X-Men should have just been called. Everybody loves Wolverine.
Everybody loves Raymond.
Yes. I forgot that there was a show.
Cyclops walks by the screen. Everybody loves Logan.
Yeah.
Fucking Colossus comes in. Hey, Logan.
I knew he would be the big brother.
Hey, Logan. Mom.
And Peter Boyle is Beast.
Oh, he's dead. Colossus walked in. Hey, Logan. Mom. Professor X got mad at me today because he.
Oh no, he would have been the perfect Professor X. Imagine the shenanigans Peter Boyle would do with Professor X's powers.
I was thinking Professor X was the mom for some reason.
All right. Okay. So
back on topic.
Since I would say we would talk about the plot of the movie nets, but you wanted to do your Cliff Note version, right?
No.
That can wait?
That's during.
Oh, okay. All right. So, with Infinity War, the movie takes place right after Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, it's just like seconds after.
Yeah, like...
Which is really weird because like Thor Ragnarok's all like a happy ending. It's like, Asgard isn't the people a place, it's a people. We're all
Are you
together.
the god of hammers?
Now the people's dead now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you the god of hammers or the god of thunder?
Yeah. Well,
that was inspirational.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll give them 1 point for that. Because Ragnarok wasn't like as...
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some parts that I liked.
You would watch
Most
it
of
for the
it
lulz.
was...
You would watch it for the lulz, but...
I'm not going to say it's a bad movie because if you take it as just a movie, it's good. But if you take it as a Thor movie and a Thor movie based on the Ragnarok storyline, it's probably one of the worst adaptations.
Yeah. Ragnarok suffered from the third movie curse.
It's not Batman and
No,
Robin.
what's funny is apparently Ragnarok was made such a comedy because of the actor Chris Hemsworth, because I guess they liked his comedy work in the Ghostbusters movie. That's what I heard.
I heard
They
actually
liked it.
I heard that he was actually funny in that movie. Like he was one of the more enjoyable parts.
Yeah, it was like there was really positive like he was the only thing people had a positive thing to say about that movie, and so the studio's like, okay, let's make the next Thor movie a comedy since Chris Hemsworth did so good in the Ghostbusters doing comedy.
Well, the second Thor movie wasn't
I,
that great, honestly.
Yeah, that too.
I gotta admit, I actually enjoyed watching Thor Ragnarok, but only for the reasons just to watch your reactions. Especially when the part when Loki pretended to act as what's his name, Thor's dad.
Odin?
Odin, yes.
Oh,
I don't know whether to
Topical,
be
since God of War is already out.
I don't know whether to be surprised or shake my head at the fact that the movie had a dick joke.
all right.
No, not a dick joke, an anus joke as well.
Let's actually talk about the Infinity War.
Yeah, so enough of
Yes,
Ragnarok, okay?
That side of the table hates it. This side of the table liked it.
All right,
I
so
like it.
with the beginning of the movie, it starts right after Ragnarok, where they see Thanos' ship, and then you hear an Asgardian calling out for help, but his calls were in vain because Thanos is on board the ship with his Black Order. They're his henchmen. They're like his followers, his children.
They're basically what Steppenwolf should have been in the Justice League movie.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen it, but whatever. So you have Ebony Maw, you have Proxima Midnight, you have Cole Obsidian, and who's the other guy? Corvus Clave.
I'm honestly shocked that I don't know if I should be shocked that you know their names, because I was just like,
Because they're from the comics.
I know they're from the comics, but I was just like,
They didn't really have
Yeah, they
enough
didn't-
screen time or agency.
I'll admit, even I didn't know their names.
yeah,
Well, Cole Obsidian in the comics was...
Our comic book encyclopedia man didn't know their names.
Well, Cole Obsidian in the comics is actually called Black Dwarf, but I digress.
but yeah,
Okay.
but I honestly was, but kudos on you, Mark, for knowing their
thank you.
names.
Yeah.
So,
I was just like, oh, that's the Green Goblin. There's a Warcraft chick. There's the guy that Hulk's gonna beat up in Squidward.
we'll get to Squidward later, okay? So, Thanos is on board the ship, and he already has the Power Stone, which he got off screen, and he's tormenting Thor, and is trying to convince Loki to give him the Tesseract, the Cosmic Cube, which is the Space Stone, and then Loki says to Thanos, "Oh, you underestimate us." And Thanos says, "Why? We have a Hulk." And Hulk just out of nowhere just comes and just starts wailing on Thanos. He gets Thanos into a corner, but Thanos is actually able to overpower the Hulk
And kicks his ass.
Yeah, in like
remember
less than a minute.
Remember, the Black Hand was about to go help, and the guy's like, "No, let Thanos have his fun."
That's when you know it's like, oh god, they're fucked.
Yeah, I
Yep.
thought that was a really good way.
And
Because like what happens
Hulk
is that,
Hulk got curb
he got
stomped
beat
badly.
up worse than Ronda Rousey did in her last UFC match.
So Hulk is now Vegeta.
Nah, Hulk is now Yamcha.
It was
I don't even watch Dragon Ball, and I made that joke.
it was like
good.
watching
Well,
a
I mean that's actually comparable considering what happens to him later on.
it was like watching a WWE squash match.
How did you actually feel about that part, Mark? 'Cause,
Oh,
like,
I mean, I kind of actually wanted Hulk to get his ass kicked, but like that was just like, wow, that quick?
yeah.
Because like it was like a UFC match. Like Thanos is just wailing on his face, kneed him in the chin. He picks him up and slams him. He does like John Cena's finishing move.
Come on in, slam.
And welcome to the gym.
So was that so was he just using like the Power Stone on him? Just mostly.
That's what I was thinking because I think the Power Stone might have doubled Thanos' strength, but Thanos in the comic is actually quite powerful even without the stones.
Yeah.
So
I don't think
shoots
he used the
bubbles
Power
and-
Stone.
yeah,
at all.
I don't think he even used the stone at all to beat Hulk because
I'd have to go back and rewatch and see if the stone ever lights up while he's fighting.
I do like.
I
that-
don't think it did.
I like that element of it where it's like, oh, you can tell what he's using because it lights up.
And so after Hulk gets beat up, Thor is getting tortured by Thanos, and then Loki decides, okay, here, have the stone. And then he was getting ready to to stab Thanos in the back, but then Thanos says, "Oh, no resurrections this time," and then like he kills Loki.
Which honestly seems really, really stupid on Loki's part, because it's like, okay, if you're gonna play the traitor, don't try and backstab the guy like 5 seconds after you swear your loyalty.
I don't know. I think he was more like, I'm gonna do this now before he gets too strong. Like, you might as well get him now and try to get him on the off chance that he believes you for 5 seconds rather than like, oh, he has 5 Infinity Stones and now I'm supposed to betray him.
It still feels like it goes a little bit against Loki, because Loki normally plays the long game.
Yeah,
He doesn't
I agree.
do the short game.
Yeah, and also in that moment, it was as if a million fangirls were suddenly crying and then silenced.
Yeah. He just chokes him out. And just
I was
dies.
expecting Loki to be like living longer in this movie, and like he would have like did like a noble sacrifice to redeem himself. I wasn't expecting him to get killed that quick.
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
what happens is that after Loki dies,
Thanos basically arrives on Earth while Tony is talking to Pepper about having kids.
not
quite,
yet.
Not quite yet. He
Um,
blows up the rest of the Asgardian ship
yeah.
after he had
But
said
not bef-
he
not-
spared half of the Asgardians.
Yeah.
And then because of the series of events, he's like, nah, get rid of them all now.
Yeah, but luckily Heimdall, he dies too. Of course, the black guy had to die first.
well, no, didn't Loki die before?
No,
Oh
no,
yeah,
Heimdall-
Yeah,
Heimdall
Heimdall
sent
first.
Thor. Not
He
Thor.
sent Hulk.
He sent Hulk back to Earth.
Yeah,
to warn everyone.
before he died.
Yeah.
So he died.
Yeah. a lot of
Black
people-
Jesus is dead.
Yeah. a lot
I'm
of people-
sorry.
Okay, you know what bothers me? Heimdall has the ability to see like from far distances, but he couldn't see Thanos' ship coming.
Hey, they were partying, okay? They were having a big old party, and they were all like, "Oh, everything's good now." Oh,
Norse mythology. They live their drink.
yeah.
Yeah. And so Hulk gets to Earth. He crash lands in the Sanctum Sanctorum, which is Doctor Strange's home, and that.
I gotta wonder what the repair bills are on that place.
They could just,
Yeah,
just like,
because after seeing Doctor Strange, you're like, okay, how do they repair it that fast? Magic.
yeah.
So
Time stone.
with
Magic. Ooh, magic.
So with Hulk, when he crash lands to Earth and warns everybody of Thanos, that was actually taken from the comics, but instead of Hulk, it was Silver Surfer.
Yeah, I was just about to ask. Was that the case?
And so he tells people, the Strange and Wong, about Thanos, and then Doctor Strange goes on and talks about the Infinity Stones, saying that the universe was created and then separated into like 6 different elements, which is space, time, mind, power, and soul.
I'm pretty sure.
Space, time, mind, power. So wait, reality.
Oh yeah, and reality. Thank you, Jersey.
The reality is pizza.
And so Strange himself actually has the time stone, and Banner is telling Strange, hey, this guy is gonna come after you and get what he wants. So
And then he arrives.
Yeah, he just like.
Well, the Black Hand does.
yeah, but not before Iron Man was talking to Pepper about wanting to have a kid.
Well, he had a dream that they had a kid,
Yeah.
or that she was pregnant or whatever, and then she was like, "Nope, everything's clean
And
down
then
there."
Strange goes to Stark to tell him, hey, your buddy here says that
Not quite. I think they met up during the Black Hand fight.
No,
No, it was
No, it was
before.
before.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was before. He was like, "Hey, your trash dropped into my ceiling. Guess who's gonna pay for that?" And he's like, pulls out his wallet.
And so you see a spaceship arrive, and
Like Bruce is like, what? You got to get the Avengers together. And Tony's like, yeah, about that.
Yeah, you've been gone a while, and things have kind of changed.
I actually really like that about this movie. Like, when I was I rewatched this movie with like my family, and they didn't know what was going on, but like thankfully, like, because Banner doesn't know anything that's going on, like the movie goes and does a really good job of saying, hey, if you didn't know what was going on, Banner doesn't know what's going on, so everybody will explain everything to him. And it was like, oh, that's nice. That way, like, I don't have to go and spend half the movie explaining
think that
everything
was
to
the
everyone.
intention?
Yeah, I don't know, but I didn't think about that. That is a good point.
Yeah, it was a really good way to do that, so that way all the dialogue was natural. So it's when you go and recap what's been going on Earth, like...
Yeah, because they had to know that there were going to be a lot of people coming to this movie who might not necessarily like they were probably counting on people to have seen the Avengers at the very least.
Yeah.
But I doubt they were counting on everyone who saw the movie to have seen like Thor and Spider-Man and every single one.
Yeah.
So, anyways, a spaceship comes to Earth, and then like everybody's freaking out, and then you see a school bus drive by a bridge, and
Driven by Stan Lee.
oh, come on! I was just gonna get into that.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, sorry for that spoiler. So, anyways, you see Peter Parker on the bus, and you see his hairs on his arm stick up, which is the spider sense, and then
Oh, I thought it was just cold that day.
and then he sees the spaceship, and then like he tells his buddy to create a distraction. He's like, okay,
Holy
and,
shit,
and he's like,
we're gonna die!
All the kids are freaking out, and then you see some.
Which is actually different from the comics because obviously this movie differentiates a lot from the comics.
Very different.
But what's interesting is in the comic when Peter sensed what Thanos was doing, like his spider sense went so wild that it forced him to go and hide somewhere when
To calm down?
Yeah, like his spider sense just went wild. It like overrid his common sense of like go hide now. And not only that, Thanos wasn't even on the planet at that point. So like it was kind of interesting because it showed that the spider sense can be powerful enough to override his normal kind of consciousness.
Yeah.
And so once everybody's on the bus freaking out, you hear some guy go, "Hey, what's the matter, you kids? You haven't seen an alien invasion before?" And it was none other than the great Stan Lee.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be Jack Kirby. His ghost comes up and just says that. Spoopy.
Yes.
But yeah, so they all go and
They all go fight Squidward and
Yeah.
and,
Well,
and the guy that Hulk's gonna go beat up.
yeah. Well, Hulk is actually trying to Hulk out, but he can't. He says that he's having problem concentrating.
Yeah, and so like so
it
like,
happens.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, and so the reason
know,
why
you have
Hulk-tile dysfunction.
Hulk
and so yes, the reason why we mentioned Squidward is because Iron Man calls Ebony Moss Squidward. He's all like, "Get lost, Squidward."
which honestly was like one of the best jokes in the movie.
Yes, it was.
I especially love that, like, whenever anyone's like, hey, here's, like, 4 pictures of Infinity War without context, they always, like, toss in a picture of Squidward. I'm like, hey! It was just really good. Especially since they never, like, actively, like, called out the characters' names, which, you know, it's pretty memorable. It keeps them... He actually has a really... I like how his, like, telekinesis was, like, very well done. It wasn't just, I'm going to throw rocks. It was very, like...
I am going to catch those rocks, turn them into spikes, and
Create
throw
like
them
a
back
tornado.
at you.
Yeah. And it was very calculated and very, like, controlled. I like that element a lot. And so they're just like... So it's Strange, Wong, and Iron Man just going up in team.
And Iron Man's armor, it's, like, basically based off of the Bleeding Edge armor, where it's kind of like nanotech.
Nano machines.
And
Nanomachine, son.
he has like these drones or whatever that come out from like his shoulders, and they're floating, and he shoots, I think, Coal Obsidian with them. And I just wish that he had the proton cannon.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
They just need to go make the proton cannon.
I don't even know if that exists in the comics.
So
I don't
It's in
think
the
it
game.
does.
It
I don't
Yes.
think
exists in
it's
my heart, and it needs to be real.
Same
So
here.
long story short, they fight me. They fight a lot. They send one of the Black Hand to another region of the Earth. Meanwhile, Squidward, we're just gonna call him Squidward, captures Doctor Strange
yeah.
and takes him back up to the ship.
Yeah, but while that's happening, Spider-Man shows up to fight Coal Obsidian, the guy who looks kind of like Abomination, but isn't. Black Dwarf, I'll call him. So he's fighting Black Dwarf, but then like when Squidward kidnaps Doctor Strange, Spider-Man is actually in space, but he's got the spider armor.
Well, no, Tony gives it to him mainly because it's like, okay, you're this high up, you need a spacesuit. So he gives him the spider armor to act as a spacesuit, more or less.
Yeah.
I remember when I was watching it with my family, they were like, "Why did he take off his mask?" It's like he's going so high up, there's like no oxygen, so he needs to do that. So that was a nice little touch. It was just like, he can't breathe, so he takes off his mask naturally to try to get more air.
Yeah.
That was a nice little thing right there.
Which you'd think a science major would have realized that he was running out of air.
Well, he's a teenager.
Well,
he's all emotion right now.
He's a teenager and he's pumped up on adrenaline right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. He's kind of stupid. But yeah, so
Oh,
Tony
we'll get
gives
to
him.
stupid in a minute, but
Tony gives him the armor, and he's just mostly it's just like, hey, just go home, kid, and then Tony sneaks aboard the donut ship, and then like Spider-Man also sneaks aboard the donut ship.
But I think it goes to another scene. Didn't it go to with Scarlet Witch and Vision? Like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
were
yeah.
in London, right?
I don't think it
it
went
wasn't
that
London.
far yet. I think it went to the Guardians.
Oh
first.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
Guardians.
Guardians.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Like
the
they're
Guardians.
flying in space and then
They're just doing their thing.
yeah, just listening to
investigating-
cool music.
Investigating a distress beacon because, according to Star-Lord, because we're good people. And Rocky's like, are we?
No.
And there may be good loot.
Yeah, according to Rocket, it's for money.
Yeah, and so they're flying their spaceship, and then they crash into something, and Rocket's get it off, and it turns out to be Thor who survived. And then the funny thing is,
Everybody but Star-Lord was like admiring Thor.
yeah, and Drat said,
His
"This is not a dude. This is a man."
Drax is amazing.
I
in this
know.
Movie.
I mean,
Drax is just amazing, period.
I'd say that Dave Bautista is the only other WWE wrestler that can act besides The Rock.
Well, when it comes to the rack, act is a very strong word.
But I'd say like Batista is actually doing comedy very good. I don't know if he's going to be typecasted or not, but he.
Probably.
I
Yeah.
hope he doesn't get
I-
typecasted. I would love to
No, I
see
think
what
he-
he
I think
was
he's too
capable.
far in.
I know, me too. But
I heard he actually
I
did-
have hope.
I heard he actually did take acting lessons to prepare for Drat. So
Okay.
I mean, good on him. I mean, it's kind of that transition is pretty hard to do,
yeah.
and it's cool that I wonder if he's actually gonna. Hopefully he doesn't get cast in like movies that are worse than this, but. Yeah, he's really enjoyable. He's a good character.
And all I can say is that the comedy in this movie is well balanced, unlike
Yeah.
Ragnarok, and
Yeah.
and it's funnier than Ragnarok's humor.
That was my biggest problem
definitely.
with Ragnarok. It went way too far with the humor.
Yeah, it just
didn't-
felt like someone was hammering your skull and. Like,
Yeah, pretty much.
Damn you!
Yeah.
I liked it.
And with what happens is that Thor wakes up and they say, "Who are you? What happened to you?" And he says, "Oh, Thanos came and attacked my people." And the Gamorreans are like, "Oh, I know who he is. He's my father. He's bad news, and I know what he's coming after. And once he gets all of them, he can destroy half of the universe with just a snap of his finger." And then it goes to a flashback with Gamora and Thanos on
her
home world,
On our home world, yeah.
where Thanos and his people executed basically Gamora's
Half of the population.
half of the population, including her mother. But then Thanos takes her under her wing, his wing, and then he shows her like a knife, and he says, "See, this is how the universe should be, perfectly balanced."
And that gives little insight to who Thanos is as a character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Actually,
So
happens a little
apparently
later.
Thanos is the Avatar.
it's actually what I've been liking about these Marvel movies lately, because it's like, in the beginning the villains were usually just bland and
just-
some big bag. Haha, I'm gonna rule the world.
Yeah,
Just,
plain bland. They didn't really have you didn't really feel sympathy towards them like with
They
Loki.
They felt like characters instead of people.
Yeah.
it's like over the course of these Marvel movies, I've been noticing like better development.
Oh, yeah.
Only recently, though, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, only recently. Black Panther is a shining example of that one.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'll go and give that Hulk movie a little credit. Like that one, like the villain was big and it's Abomination, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's like he's like a big, dumb, bigger Hulk. But actually, like I do kind of like how they like build him up a little bit more and
Yeah.
they like show that the guy is like frustrated, and so like when he goes,
He's frustrated because he knows he's getting on in years, but he still wants to fight.
Yeah.
So he becomes the one thing he wants to kill.
But yeah, and
The spirit is willing, but its flesh is spongy and weak.
yeah. But I did kind of like that, but the rest of the movie's not that great.
Anyway,
But yeah, actually, I think the flashback happened a little bit later. But yeah, the whole that was real fun to see the Guardians and Thor kind of like chum it up, especially since like though it was a little
Especially how Thor sympathized with Gamora, like, I know, family, right?
Yeah.
I had a brother who was a trick, who backstabbed
like-
me
You have
tons
a
of times.
you have a blue sibling who backstabs you too. Wow, same here.
I saw that comic.
Yeah.
Also, you kind of feel bad for Thor in this movie because let's see, he lost his mother, his father,
His home,
his home,
and
and his brother,
And again, I mean,
And his
it's
and his hammer.
And his rock monster and his giant slug. And
again, it's a case of this movie does, Thor's despair and loss and basically character over everything that's happened better than the actual Thor movie.
Oh, he also lost his eye.
Yeah.
But yeah, they basically Guardians split up. One half goes see Thanos, and
I do like how Thor basically shows within 10 seconds that he is a way more competent leader than Star-Lord is.
Yeah.
I actually like how Rocket Raccoon was pretty smart. It's let's see, go with this guy far away from Thanos. Yeah, that's a good idea.
So basically, Rocket, Groot, and Thor go to Nidavellir, which is another realm within Asgard, to meet up with this troll.
To meet up with the dwarves.
Oh, a dwarf who could
Not a dwarf. The dwarves.
yeah, who can make Thor a new weapon to see if they can stop Thanos. But meanwhile, I think it was in Scotland. Was it Scotland?
Scotland.
Yeah, Scotland. It shows Scarlet Witch and the Vision, and they're just talking about.
Wait, I think that's also later in the movie. But should we just talk about it and get it out of the way?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's gonna take us
This
forever to
movie
get
is
through
all over the place.
Yeah.
And if you
Yeah.
guys are not if you guys are not paying attention to the movie, you're gonna miss a lot of shit, and you're gonna come back and you're like, what?
I mean, we're already 40 minutes in. I'm just saying, but yeah. So yeah, they obviously just did it, and they're just like, you want to go somewhere else? And they're like, yeah, I guess. And then that's when the Green Goblin shows up, and he's all like, join me, Vision, and we will destroy the universe. And then I'm like, oh man, this movie's getting a lot better.
It's not
now.
really the Green Goblin. He kind of looks like him, but it's not.
You gotta love how the only one who was actually incognito was Black Widow. Everybody else is just in their normal clothes
Oh, you kind
and
of
It's
uniforms.
fine,
spoiled that
it's
a little
fine,
bit.
it's fine.
But so they're
Whatever,
getting
who cares?
attacked, and then Vision was about to have his Mind Stone ripped out, but then you see Cap come out, you see Black Widow and Falcon to help him out.
Yeah, they're all there.
Somebody told me about that scene. And it was like, why couldn't Vision just phase away and get the drop on them? I'm like, they just explained it. They hit him with a weapon that neutralized his phasing powers.
Yeah, they impaled him.
Yeah.
His powers weren't working.
Yeah. The Green Goblin was like, I know your weakness, Spider-Man. I'll attack you. I'll attack the heart.
I am
Yes, I
not the
guess the
Spider-Man.
Vision
Your
did-
face is red. That's good enough for me.
I guess the Vision didn't see that coming.
You get that one, Jersey. You get
Does he though?
Yeah, he does.
I don't know.
Spider-Man.
Oh, I get it. Vision, see, yeah.
Yes, smart. So Vision's all broken up, and they're like, "Oh, we gotta go fix Vision."
Yeah.
And then
So that happened in Scotland. Meanwhile,
I think then you go back to the
Tony
ship with
and-
Tony and them. Yeah.
Tony
Yeah.
and
Yeah, so-
Spider-Man try and come up with a plan.
Hey,
to
the
try
cape
and
of levitation
save.
is there too.
Oh yeah, aka Magic Carpet.
Yeah, the
Oh,
magic
yeah.
carpet from Aladdin's there
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tony, Peter, and the Cape try and come up with a plan to save Doctor Strange from
serious acupuncture.
from serious acupuncture. And Spider-Man actually came up with the brilliant plan when he
He
asked
said, Tony, if you saw the movie Alien.
And then
Exactly.
Tony was like, "Do you mean alien or aliens?" And he's
Either.
and he's all like, "What's the difference?" Like, well, one's like a horror movie, and the other one's more like an action movie. You know, you gotta be more specific about which airlock we're throwing him out of.
Okay, and pretty much that's what happened. Tony blows a hole right when the guy was about to use his telekinesis.
I did
and
like that
sucked him
scene.
out of the void. And they save Doctor Strange, and the last thing you see is the guy frozen in place like the alien was in the movie.
Rest
Oh.
in peace, Squidward.
He is now a shooting stars meme.
I love that scene because it's just like the guy's like. I love that scene because Squidward's just like, "How will you defeat me? You ever seen Aliens? Boosh!"
Yeah, I didn't actually know that he was like doing the pose from
So
Aliens.
after Squidward,
I guess he actually did see the movie because he knew what pose to be in.
So after Squidward dies, we fast forward to I think the rest of the Guardians, Star-Lord, Drax, and Gamora. They go to the Collector's World because they know.
Before that, Gamora made Star-Lord promise that if Thanos ever gets his hands on me, you have to kill me.
You gotta kill me.
That was it.
Which I don't understand.
Yeah.
Which, in context, I'm like, why didn't she just kill herself as soon as she heard that Thanos has a couple of the Infinity Stones?
Well, sometimes you kind of
when
like
you
life.
Yeah, and so like they see Thanos with the Collector, and like they say, "Okay, we gotta stay still." But Drax is like, "No, fuck this shit. I'm gonna kill this motherfucker because he killed my family."
And
And also, he has Del
Mantis
Toro's
follows
brother
up with him.
hostage, and I like The Shape of Water. It was a very touching movie.
And so Drax loses his cool, and then Thanos takes notice upon them, and he's like, "Oh, too late. I already got the Reality Stone, and I killed the Collector for it."
Yeah, and
No,
so
it was more like a troll move if you think
That's
about it.
this is one thing I want to. Oh no, wait, not yet.
well, the thing
I'll
I'll
talk about something later.
There's a little bit earlier where like Gamora goes and fights Thanos, and she kills him using the neat
okay,
little knife
you're
that he
bringing
gave
it
him.
up, so
Yeah. I thought that was real neat, and then she goes and has a breakdown moment because she's like, I just killed my dad. That's kind of a big deal. And then, like, that's when Thanos was like, oh, you do care. Oh, I love you too, sweetie. And then, like, he's like, let's go find the Soul Stone.
Yeah. And then
Time for daddy-daughter bonding.
so Star-Lord actually tries to shoot Thanos, but his gun turns into bubbles.
No, he
tries to shoot Gamora.
Oh.
Yeah, and then Thanos uses the bubbles from Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and I was like, they worked in the bubbles.
What is his connection to bubbles?
I don't know. He just uses bubbles in Marvel vs. Capcom.
I have that in my cliff notes. What this needs to be known. Do you have any insight?
Yeah,
No, I have no idea where the bubbles came from.
I think the graphics on the bubble were off, and it was supposed to be like he's imprisoning you in some kind of like energy dome.
Okay. But
I guess they like just told Capcom, yeah, he can go and put you in an energy dome, and they're like,
Okay.
I think it's
bubbles.
funnier if bubbles.
Yeah.
They're just like
And
bubbles,
so
I guess.
Thanos escapes by turning Drax into stone and Mantis into like ribbons, which actually happened in the comics.
Really?
Yeah.
Why didn't he keep them that way?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because the Reality Stone's effects are limited by
They have a
to an area.
range.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
area
have
of
a range.
effect.
At first, I thought he had them killed, but no, he just did a distraction.
Yeah,
I
and
see.
then,
They have area of effect unless they're increased by the other stones.
yeah, and so
Okay.
then he was just like, peace
And so-
out. I'm gonna go make a Goofy movie with my daughter Gamora now.
So basically he and Gamora gets on the Thanos copter and flies away.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, that
I'll
actually
get
was
you
in the
back to
comments,
the
everybody. The Thanos copter.
I'll get you next time, Star-Lord. Next time.
No, you have to do it with the voice.
I'll get you next time, Star-Lord.
That's actually a good.
Yeah,
That's a
pretty
really good.
That's pretty good. Anyways, a little off topic. I really love. There's a stupid fucking Marvel cartoon where like Magneto drives up to a gas station.
Yeah, that was from the Fantastic Four cartoon, I believe.
And he just goes and says, like, the gas station attendant's like, all right, do you want me to fill you up? And he's like, no, I'm Magneto. I'm just going to go and I just wanted to show you that you're gasoline's stupid. I'm just going to levitate this car out of here, stupid. And he just levitates the car over to the city, and the gas station attendant's like, what the heck? All right, whatever. Yeah, you're good.
Oh, we're good?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Whoa.
shoot.
Okay. So,
First mic drop.
anyways, after Thanos escapes, I think it goes to. Don't they go to Wakanda, or does it go to with Thor?
I think it goes.
I think
Thor.
it goes to either Thor or back to Tony and Doctor Strange when they try to
Oh yeah,
fill in
that's
with
right.
each
They
other.
go to Thanos' planet Titan.
Right, that's a little later, but yeah, whatever. They go there and
That's a little later. So I think it is with Thor, Groot,
Yeah.
and Rocket.
Yeah, they're-
Rocket gives Thor a new eye.
Yep.
But you know why he does that, right? Because Chris Hemsworth said it's hard to act with one eye.
Oh.
I'm like, but you look so much more badass with the eye patch.
Yeah, that's something that on reflection really annoys me. We have this whole big thing where Thor loses an eye, and it's this whole bit. It's the only really big moment in Ragnarok, and it's undone.
He loses his eye, he
inside
loses
of, like,
his hammer, and what does he do? He gets a new eye and is like, I need a new weapon.
Yep.
I'm like, but what happened to, are you the god of hammers or god of thunder?
Yeah.
well, apparently it didn't work on Thanos, so we gotta go try a new plan.
So
Okay.
he goes
Fair
to
enough.
the dwarf planet, but he finds out that it's kind of like dead.
and only one dwarf is left
Yeah.
alive,
Paid-
and his
The
hands
Peter
were cut
Dinklage
off.
Peter
dwarf.
Dinklage.
Oh, and we're using the term dwarf very loosely.
But he got big in this movie.
That's
Yeah,
why I
dream
said
came
dwarf
true.
was used
I wonder.
very loosely.
I wonder if that's why Peter Dinklage signed on, because they said we're gonna make you huge. He's like, done. Where do I sign?
He's all right. I am huge. Haven't you seen Game of Thrones?
So,
Everybody loves me.
anyways, they meet the
Haven't you seen Underdog? I'm terrible in that.
they meet the Peter
Have you
Dinklage
seen me in
dwarf.
pixels? No? Good.
They meet the Peter Dinklage dwarf, and he says that he was also the creator of the Infinity Gauntlet, but Thanos had his arms cut off so that way he wouldn't create any more weapons.
And he killed everybody else.
Yeah.
Except for me.
And so the plan is for him to create a new hammer for Thor, aka Stormbreaker.
And to do that, they have to restart the forge, which is a dying star.
Yeah. And Thor ends up doing that, but they say it's too risky, it's suicide, but Thor doesn't care.
Yeah, he has nothing else
Well,
to
no,
lose.
they try to get it working once, and they get it working part way, but then it clamps up because I think something's frozen over. So Thor has to hold the focusing lens open himself.
He has to hold it open himself, and he has to take the heat.
Taste the heat,
Man,
not the meat.
You know, Thor would be a great promoter for
had a
Sunny
feeling
D.
you'd say that.
Feel the
God
power
damn
of the
it.
sun.
You know, I'm pretty sure this kind of proves that MCU Thor is way stronger than DC Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
because he survives a freaking star at full force.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like magnetized too.
And during the forging process, the hammer was not yet complete because I don't know what happened. So Groot,
They were looking for the handle.
yeah, they were looking for the handle, but there was no time. Groot took it upon himself to grab the pieces. The pieces were burning him, and bring them together. And he cuts off his own arm to form the handle.
Yep.
Well, to be fair, he's a plant. He can grow a new one.
Yeah.
I know that, and that's exactly what he did. But seeing him do something like that, I'm like, wow, way to go, Groot.
Yeah, Groot was kind of being a little bit of a punk in the beginning parts of the movie, so it was kind
Well,
of.
he's a teen. Well, he's like a preteen at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, his
And
set-
so after
plant hormones.
Yeah.
Thor gets his new hammer, doesn't it go to with Thanos and Gamora?
No,
Yeah, let's just go with that. Let's just go
like
there.
that.
Okay.
Okay.
So Thanos already has, let's see, the power, the space, the reality, and now he's going after the Soul Stone.
and he doesn't know where it is.
Yeah, so he
but Gamora
tortures-
does.
Yeah, and he tortures Nebula, his other daughter.
Yeah.
And so
They said that Nebula had a lot of cybernetics done to her. I did not know the extent.
Yeah.
Apparently, even her butt was cybernetic. I was like, man, someone had a fun time making that butt. Because it's a good butt.
Like, it makes me think, how much of her organic tissue is left?
Probably almost none,
Yeah.
yeah.
Shit.
if any.
No wonder she hates Thanos.
Yep.
But yeah,
If there was ever a reason, that's the reason.
Yep.
yeah. So Thanos coaxes out of Gamora where the location of the Soul Stone is, and he's like, "Okay, now that we know where it is, we're gonna go and boot up the car and go and have a road trip
No,
over
the
there."
Thanos copter.
The Thanos
No,
car.
no, no.
steamboat.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say we're gonna boot up the steamboat.
So we
Okay,
get to...
wait. So, just if you don't know, okay, so in the Marvel Hero Squaddies show, was that?
Superhero Squad.
So, so in that show, Thanos is voiced by
Jim Cummings.
Jim Cummings, who famously is Pete and all those fun characters. And so, I was talking to Mark the other day about like, we're good.
Okay.
Ah, you people. Anyway, so we're talking about this, and we're just like making dumb jokes. And so he was all like, "So like if like we like reversed everything, it was like the Infinity Leg and stuff like that. Instead of like having the Thanos Thanos like running around like looking for a steamboat, what would we be going?" I was like, "I don't know, maybe like a hoopty or something." And then Mark hits me with, "Yeah, that makes sense. Pete was a used car salesman in Goof Troop." I was like, "I didn't know that. It works out so good." So yeah, they go take the Thanos copter over to this
Planet.
This planet.
I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, it's some World War
And we're
Warcraft
met
planet.
with this...
Wait, shh. I'll say it.
we're met
So
with-
they go to this planet, and then
they're met with this
with this-
ethereal specter.
Yeah,
And
and-
all of us
wait,
were like...
yeah, I'll say it.
Okay.
So, anyways, they meet like this weird specter, a hooded specter, and I'm like,
He was like
is
a
that supposed to be Death?
I'm like, are they doing it? Are they actually doing it? Are they bringing death into this?
So the
Really?
face comes closer, and it's red, and I'm like, Mephisto?
And it's
No.
a spoopy ghost, and he's
Oh
all
God,
like,
Spider-Man, get out of there!
and it's all like, let's go to Pizza Hut, get some pizza. They've got a pizza with Alfredo
Liquid
sauce.
cheese, double solid cheese. Okay, anyways, so the face comes closer. It's a red face. He takes off the hood. Spoilers, everybody. Well, okay, there are spoilers in this already. It was the Red Skull.
And I'm like, and every one of us just gasped like,
You can say we did not see that coming.
Yeah.
you never see it coming.
And so he says, the Red Skull says, I've been on this world banished and
the past
cursed
80
for the
years.
past 70 to 80 years.
How is he still alive?
And Nazi magic.
Probably.
Yeah.
So he says that he's been banished to that planet for like years, trying to guide people to get the Soul Stone. And he says the only way to do it is for people to
Sacrifice
sacrifice
the one thing they
a
love.
soul for the Soul Stone.
You know, soul for a soul, whatever.
Yeah.
And this was
And so, like-
very strange because this is where we see a side of Thanos that's not quite as present in the comics.
Yeah.
Because in his own twisted mind, he sees himself loving Gamora as his own flesh and blood, which is very strange considering all the actions he has
Yeah.
committed.
Yeah, but
Because he even said that the reason why he's trying to eliminate half of the universe is because it's has to do with resources and overpopulation. So he kind of has somewhat of sense to his logic.
Which is an interesting way to go about it, although
Yeah,
it does open itself up to plot holes because, like, people offline have said, well, if the Infinity Stones can, like, do anything, why doesn't Thanos just snap his finger and, like, double the amount of resources
I think
in
it
the
was.
galaxy?
Yeah, I think
Because the Infinity Stones have a limit to their power. They are tied to the very fabric of reality. Some things in reality cannot be altered. Resources being one of them.
I was just gonna say, like, it's just to go and illustrate that how mad Thanos is and how crazy he is. That like this is his only solution. When a little
Why not
kid,
both?
Well, no. Well, I guess why not both?
Well, I mean, you can logic your way around it, but, like, they kind of don't say that the stones have any kind of a limit.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. You'd have to like read the comics to understand
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, but I think it's better. It's just better just to go and say, "Hey, Thanos is this crazy that even like a little kid can figure out. Well,
Yeah.
why don't you just double the
dude.
resources?" And it's like, oh, hey, you go and see how insane he is and the lengths he's willing to go through to go say this. So Red Skull's all like, "You gotta go and soul for a soul."
Yeah.
So then
There's a reason
Thanos
why
gets
he's-
real sad, and then he
And
breaks out
Gamora
his.
is taunting him all throughout, and you actually see him like
Yeah,
start
shed
to
a tear.
cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start to cry, and she's like, "Really? You're shedding tears over this? You love nothing." And
And then
Skull's
he breaks
like,
out his
"Those
Nintendo
tears are
DS
for
and then takes out his copy of Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and then he's just like, "Goodbye, little one." And then he throws Gamora over the edge, and it's just like, you could have threw the game cartridge. It's like, man, you know how many hours I got into Soul Silver,
Oh, much in
man?
that Baba game.
Well, it was a soul for a soul.
This ain't no Poo Poo Pee Poo podcast.
I kind of facepalm like at Gamora for not figuring out that he was going
that
to.
Thanos, in his own twisted mind,
Yeah.
still loved her.
Yeah. I mean, they went and had
She
that
even
little
tried to
talk.
take her life at that time by stealing his knife and trying to stab herself. But again, Thanos bubbles.
Yeah.
Reality stone.
So, anyways, Thanos does end up sacrificing his own daughter, and he does receive the Soul Stone.
Yeah, he just gets it.
In
He's like, oh, that
a
was pretty
very
easy.
heartfelt moment. And there's a reason why they call Thanos the Mad Titan. He was willing to sacrifice the one thing he loved just so that he can gain this great power.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I think it takes place on Titan.
Yeah, I think they just go to
No, Earth now. They got me. Captain America gets in contact with
Oh, the Black Panther.
Yeah.
with Black Panther, No, not Black Panther yet. He gets in contact with Rhodey, War Machine.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
can we just agree that General Ross is the real villain in
Yeah.
in this
General
cinematic
Ross.
universe? Fucking General Ross. I don't care if the universe is in danger. Arrest them, War Machine.
Yeah, I'm like, gee,
Fuck you.
Yeah, I was just like, man, just like,
Fuck
bruh.
you. We are in the middle of another alien invasion, and you want to arrest the
I like Rhodey
freaking
just-
people who want to help save the world.
Not only that, but he has
He has the fucking cripple. He orders the fucking cripple to arrest Captain America.
That's a little racist.
Your thoughts, Brian?
I like Rhodey just turns off. Like, well, that's a court martial.
But yeah, but like, not only that, but he's also like limiting them because he can't give them Ant-Man and Hawkeye because he has them under arrest.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
man, this guy just doesn't like. I get. this
Well,
guy's just such a
Hawkeye's
jerk.
under house arrest.
Same with
Ant-Man
he's
is
under house arrest,
disappeared.
No, they're both under house arrest.
Yeah,
Okay.
they said that, and so like
Yeah.
Looking at my shoes.
the-
That's a court martial. Staring out the window. That's a court martial.
But yeah, so they all meet up,
and
they're-
then like Banner sees a Black Widow, and they're like, oh hey, yeah, we were a thing.
And they were trying to figure out, okay, Vision has the stone. What are we going to do about this? And the only option is to like try and find a way to destroy the stone. And Scarlet Witch is having none of it because, love.
Yes. Yeah.
And what? And Bruce brings up that the stone is only a part of
Vision.
Is
Yeah.
only a part of Vision. Vision is made out of not just the stone. He's made out of Jarvis. He's made out of
Ultron.
Tony's Ultron. He's made out of Tony's technology. He's made up of Bruce Banner's technology.
They basically bring up it's possible to remove the stone,
And
but it's
keep
incredibly
Vision-
complicated.
Yeah.
And so they go to the one place with the technology to remove the stone. And where is that?
Wakanda.
Batman's Batcave. The Batcave.
Hit the drums.
Batcave.
So after they decide to go to Wakanda, doesn't it take place on Titan, Thanos' homeworld?
No, let's just talk about Wakanda and all that stuff.
Yeah, right.
We're actually jumping around a bit.
All right, everybody. Looks like we're out of time. Sorry we couldn't cover everything. So
We'll probably just put this into a part 2.
yeah, this is going to be a two-parter. So
We will return for Infinity War Podcast Part 2.
unless neither of us get erased.
Yeah. So, let's just go through who is everyone. Nathan, you go first.
What?
Just say who you are. Just bye.
Oh, I'm Nathaniel.
I'm Brian.
I'm Mark, your host.
I'm Jersey.
Hey, I'm Anthony. Yeah, to see you next time. Sorry about this. It's a little awkward of a cut. We'll try to go and maybe we'll just upload another episode, or maybe we'll just combine them both. I don't know. But thanks so much for your time. What show was this again?
Crisis of Infinite Podcast.
Yeah, go listen. It's great. Good times. See you guys.